Capricorn, listen carefully, because what I'm about to say may unlock something you've always felt, but never dared to name. There is someone you once trusted deeply. You may have invited them into your home, opened your heart, helped them when no one else did. And in return, they placed you on an altar. Not a metaphorical one, not symbolic, a real one. With your photo, your name, your energy. A silent ritual done in shadows. Not to bless you, but to break you. And still, you survived. Why? Because the universe was watching. Because the ancestors you never met and the spirit guides you rarely hear stood up and said, "Not this one. Not Capricorn. You will not destroy what we have prepared for greatness." You see, this isn't just another story about betrayal. This is your karmic story finally coming to light. And what they tried to hide, what they whispered behind your back, will now be revealed, piece by piece. Because the truth is no longer silent. And neither are you. So if you've felt drained for no reason, if your money disappeared mysteriously, if people turned on you without warning, if your sleep has been broken and your soul feels watched, it's not in your head, it's in your field. It's in the energy they tried to poison. It's in the cords they tried to tie to your power. But here's the secret they didn't count on. Capricorn doesn't fall. Capricorn rebuilds. And in this video, we're going to go all the way in. We'll uncover who placed you on that altar. We'll break down the hidden signs that have followed you for months. And most importantly, we'll release it all. You're not watching this by accident. You were meant to find this today. Because this is the beginning of the end of their influence. And the start of your greatest spiritual return. Welcome to the truth. Let's begin. Part 1. The first sign when your soul felt disturbed. Capricorn. Before the curse ever touched your finances, before the distance crept into your relationships, before the heaviness made your steps feel like stone, it began with a shift, a whisper in the soul, a moment you couldn't explain, but couldn't ignore either. You probably told yourself it was just stress, just fatigue, just the weight of responsibility you always carry. But deep down, something deeper stirred. Your inner compass, so quiet, so intuitive, was already trying to alert you. Maybe it started with dreams you couldn't quite remember, but left you waking up in a sweat. Maybe you began to feel drained around certain people you once trusted. Or maybe it was just that gnawing, unshakable feeling that something, or someone, was working against you. That was no accident. That was the first wave of energy from the altar. Not the physical altar, no, but the spiritual one, the one where your name, your photo, your essence, was used without your consent. Not to honor you, but to weaken you. And still, you moved forward. You worked harder. You held it together. Because that's what Capricorns do. They don't break at the first storm, they endure. But the unease kept growing. The little things began to shift, your clarity, your motivation, your peace of mind. The path you once saw so clearly became foggy. The strength you once felt in your chest began to hollow out. And yet, despite all of this, you still showed up. You still smiled. You still gave. Because you didn't know where the disturbance came from. But now you do. It wasn't you. It wasn't weakness. It was a spiritual disruption sent by someone who wanted what you had. Your energy, your progress, your foundation. They didn't want to build their own, they wanted to dismantle yours. But here's the truth. They could never touch the essence of who you are. Because while they placed you on an altar in shadow, your soul was already protected in light. And the moment you began to notice, that was the moment the universe began the reversal. Life lesson. Never dismiss the quiet warnings of your soul. When something doesn't feel right, it's because something isn't. Your intuition is not paranoia, it is protection. And the sooner you honor it, the sooner you begin to break free. In part 2, we will unravel why they used you, and what it is about your Capricorn spirit that triggered their darkest intentions. The truth is just beginning. Part 2, the ritual, why they used you. Capricorn. When someone chooses to perform a ritual. When they gather objects with intention. Light a candle in silence. Place a photo down with calculated precision. It isn't random. It is personal. And in your case, it was very personal. They didn't pick your photo by chance. They didn't speak your name in a murmur of envy without meaning it. They chose you because they saw your power. And they couldn't replicate it. Capricorn, you build in silence. You don't broadcast your every step. You endure, adapt, survive storms that others would crumble beneath. But that calm, composed strength, it threatens people. Especially those who live in chaos. Especially those who crave validation without effort, attention without value, position without purpose. You've likely crossed paths with this person or these people during a moment of kindness. You helped them. You showed up when they were struggling. You offered stability when their world was unstable. And in return, they studied you. They observed how you moved through life with structure and determination. How your stillness carried more power than their loudest actions. And instead of learning from you, instead of respecting you, they chose the darker path. They whispered your name into a shadow ritual. They brought your image into a space of manipulation. And not because they wanted your destruction, but because they wanted your blueprint. They thought if they could tie your energy to theirs, they could siphon it, benefit from it, gain clarity, luck, stability, without earning it. But energy doesn't work that way. You can't steal someone's light without absorbing their karma. You can't borrow someone's alignment without paying the spiritual price. So why did they choose you? Because your energy was clean, grounded, disciplined, and they weren't. And when someone full of chaos touches the current of someone born of order, there's only one outcome. The chaos gets louder, and the order gets momentarily disrupted. But only momentarily, because what they didn't count on was the very thing that makes you, you. Your alignment with natural law, your patience, your sacred structure. While they were casting under candlelight, you were aligned with cosmic timing. And that is power no ritual can overcome. Life lesson. Sometimes the people who seem to admire you the most are the ones who secretly want to be you without doing the work. Protect your energy not because you are afraid, but because you have something deeply worth protecting. And now that we've seen why they did it, Part 3 will reveal exactly how it began to show up in your life. From your money to your mind, from your health to your heart, and most importantly, how to finally name it for what it is. A spiritual attack on someone chosen for something far greater. Part 3, the fallout, how the curse touched your life. Capricorn. When energy is manipulated in the unseen, it doesn't explode. It seeps. Slowly, like water into wood. It saturates the structure until one day it warps everything. That's how this curse moved through your life. At first, it was so subtle you couldn't name it. Just a delay here. A miscommunication there. Plans falling through last minute. Opportunities vanishing just when you needed them most. But soon, the cracks began to show. You started working twice as hard. For half the return. People you trusted began pulling away. No fights, no explanations, just distance. Some even turned cold, critical, or indifferent. Without a reason you could understand. Your body began to feel heavier. Not sick exactly, but drained. Tasks that were once easy became exhausting. Your clarity began to fog over. The drive that once pushed you forward now felt muted. And perhaps most painful of all, you started questioning yourself. Was I imagining things? Am I slipping? Why do I feel like I'm carrying something that doesn't belong to me? You were. Because that's exactly what this kind of spiritual interference is designed to do. Not just block your path, but make you believe it's your fault the path is blocked. It hits you where it hurts most. Your ability to manifest. Your trust in your own judgment. Your sense of inner stability. That's why Capricorn was the perfect target. Because your greatest power is your stability. And when that is shaken, the whole structure feels threatened. But you need to know this. What happened to you was not a failure. It was not weakness. It was the result of an external energy working against your natural flow. You didn't collapse. You adapted. You didn't disappear. You recalibrated. And that's what they never expected. Because they thought a Capricorn running at half power would fall. They didn't realize even at your lowest, you are still stronger than most at their best. Now, as you look back, you'll begin to see the patterns. The bad luck that wasn't just bad luck. The financial leaks that never made sense. The mood swings that didn't match your character. The sudden disconnection from people who once supported you. These were all symptoms, not of a personal failing, but of an invisible attack. Life lesson. When life begins to unravel with no clear cause, pause and look deeper. Not every struggle is self-created. Sometimes, the pain you carry isn't even yours. And realizing that is the first step to putting it down. In part 4, we'll reveal the force that stood between you and total collapse. The ancestral and spiritual protection that held the line, when you didn't even know a battle was happening. Because Capricorn, you were never truly alone. Not even for a second. Part 4, the hidden protection. The universe intervened silently. Capricorn, the most powerful protections are often the quietest. They don't arrive with thunder. They arrive with divine timing. And while you were walking through the chaos, navigating sudden losses, broken trust, unexplained exhaustion, you may have felt alone. But you weren't. Because the universe had already stepped in. You see, when that person, the one who carried envy in their heart and used your image for control, placed your energy on that altar, they activated more than just a curse. They awakened your guardians. Your ancestral line, the ones whose blood runs through your veins, stood up. Not just your recent ancestors, but the ancient ones. The quiet keepers of your path, your power, and your promise. These are the protectors who know who you are, even when you forget. Who remember what you're here to build, even when you're buried in doubt. And they did what protectors do. They deflected. They diverted. They absorbed. That's why things didn't fall apart completely. You may have felt financial strain, but you were never without. You may have felt relationship tension, but not complete isolation. You may have been slowed down, but not stopped. They ensured that the most poisonous pieces of the ritual, the parts designed to crush your spirit, were caught before reaching you. Have you ever noticed how certain people suddenly drifted out of your life, even when it hurt? That wasn't rejection. That was protection. Or how a job opportunity vanished last minute, only for you to later realize it would have been a trap. That wasn't bad luck. That was redirection. Or how you didn't end up where you thought you would, but somehow, you ended up somewhere safer, quieter, more fertile. That was the hand of the universe, rearranging the pieces while you were still playing the game. You weren't abandoned. You were shielded. Even your own spirit guides, those intuitive nudges, the sudden chills, the gut feelings you couldn't explain, they were speaking. And whether or not you listened, they never stopped trying to get your attention. The truth is, not every battle is meant for you to fight. Some are won behind the veil, where your soul's allies are always watching. And now, they want you to know. The worst has already been intercepted. The damage was minimized. And your restoration is ready to begin. Life lesson. Just because you can't see protection, doesn't mean it's not there. The universe is always working in the background. Closing doors, shifting paths, removing people. Not to punish you, but to preserve your destiny. Trust the redirection. It's rarely wrong. In part 5, we'll begin to lift the mask. To see who this person truly was. And how their envy was never really about you, but about the mirror you held up to their unhealed wounds. Part 5, who they really are, the face behind the mask. Capricorn. It's time to look into the mirror, not yours, but theirs. Because every curse has a sender. And while we often imagine them cloaked in shadows, chanting in secrecy, the truth is far more ordinary. and far more dangerous. This person, the one who placed your energy on that altar, who invoked your name in a space of manipulation, was someone who walked beside you in daylight. They were not a stranger. They were not a figure in a dark alley. They were close. They laughed with you. They confided in you. They may have called you family, or friend, or worse, chosen. And yet, behind their eyes was a growing bitterness. One they didn't show at first. Because envy doesn't scream, it simmers. It shows up as overly kind praise with a sting beneath it. Backhanded compliments. Questions that feel like interrogation, disguised as concern. They watched you build. Not because they wanted to learn, but because they couldn't understand how you did it. You made it look too easy. You didn't ask for help. You didn't complain. You just rose. And instead of being inspired, they felt exposed. Because your structure reminded them of their chaos. Your order, of their indecision. Your power, of their helplessness. So they did what wounded souls often do. They reached for control, and they used energy as a weapon. But here's the truth they could never outrun. You didn't trigger their darkness. You revealed it. You were the mirror. And mirrors don't lie. This person likely has a history of broken connections. They sabotage what they can't control. They seek validation through manipulation. And when people finally walk away, they claim to be the victim. But the energy never lies. You felt it. That knot in your stomach when they spoke. The way your body tensed when their name appeared. The shift in air after a conversation. Those were not coincidences. Those were signs. And now, they've been revealed. It's not your job to punish them. That's already being handled. But it is your responsibility to recognize them for what they are. A test. A reflection. A warning. Life lesson. Not everyone who sits at your table is meant to eat from your plate. Some come to feed, others to study, and a few to steal. Pay attention not just to words, but to energy. Because while words deceive, energy always tells the truth. In part 6, we will explore how the karmic wheels have already begun turning, and why the very ritual meant to take your power is now becoming the seed of their unraveling. Part 6. Karma, the curse turns back. Capricorn. Everything in this universe moves in cycles. Energy, intent, action, consequence. And no matter how secret a ritual may be, no matter how quiet the curse is whispered, the universe always hears. The one who used your energy against you, the one who thought they could manipulate your path without ever being noticed, is now standing in a storm of their own making. Because the karmic law doesn't require your permission. It doesn't wait for confrontation. It simply unfolds, in perfect timing. It begins subtly. The same way they disrupted your stability, theirs now begins to falter. Plans they were certain of begin to shift. Money they expected suddenly slips through their fingers. Relationships that once made them feel powerful begin to erode. And inside, the fear they tried to project onto you has taken root in them. You see, karma doesn't always strike like lightning. Sometimes, it shows up as decay. A slow breakdown of the very foundation they once stood on. They thought they were untouchable. That your silence meant weakness. That your forgiveness meant access. But what they misunderstood was that your silence was a signal for the universe to take over. And now, the wheel has turned. The altar they built in shadow is now a mirror for their own undoing. They may be confused, frustrated, disoriented, asking why everything is falling apart. But you know, because you felt it first. You carried the weight of their projection. You bled in silence while they smiled in public. But the debt is being collected now, and the universe, so patient, so precise, is ensuring every ounce of that energy is returned exactly where it belongs. Capricorn, you didn't have to seek revenge. You didn't need to retaliate. Because real power doesn't scream. It watches. It waits. And then, it reclaims. The truth is, they never attacked you because you were weak. They attacked you because they knew you were powerful. And they couldn't stand the reflection of what they hadn't become. But here's where your story shifts. Their karma is not your concern. Their downfall is not your entertainment. Your job is not to look back. Your job is to rise. Life lesson. When wrong is done against you, release the need to respond. Let the universe handle the parts you cannot. Karma moves slower than anger, but hits with greater precision. And when you trust that truth, you no longer waste energy proving your worth. You simply live it. In part 7, we'll explore how those who once tried to drain your light may now return in disguise, and how to guard your energy with clarity, wisdom, and quiet strength. Part 7. Watch for their return, they'll try again. Capricorn. There's something you need to prepare for. Something many people never talk about after karmic justice begins. It's the return, not of the curse, but of the person. Because once their world starts unraveling, once the energy they sent out begins to echo back, they come knocking again. But not with anger, not with venom. This time, they return with softness. Apologies, excuses, memories. They remind you of the good times. They say they've changed. They say they miss your energy. And that's not a metaphor. They do miss your energy, because they've felt the absence of it. Your protection, your grounding, your power. But Capricorn, be still. Because this is the most dangerous moment. Not when they curse you, but when they charm you. They may show up in your DMs. You may dream of them again, their face suddenly appearing in your subconscious. They might reach out just to check in, to see how you're doing, or to make peace. But their peace is not your responsibility. Their guilt is not your burden. And their confusion is not your call to clarity. Energy never lies. So even if the words sound right, if the feeling feels wrong, trust that. Your body knows what your logic is still trying to process. You don't need to respond. You don't need to give them another chance. You don't need to explain the pain they caused. That's between them and the universe now. What you do need is discernment. To recognize when someone is trying to reconnect to your light, because theirs is fading. And to remember that protection is not just a one-time act. It's a daily choice. You've already done the work to detach. Don't undo that progress because of a few sentimental words wrapped in spiritual manipulation. This isn't about holding a grudge. It's about honoring your growth. Because healing isn't just about letting go. It's also about saying never again and meaning it. Life lesson. Not everyone who returns deserves re-entry. Sometimes closure doesn't come through conversation. It comes through clarity. And the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Let your healed energy speak for itself. In part 8, we'll go deeper into how to protect your energetic field through daily rituals, intentions, and spiritual practices that keep your space clean and your soul sovereign. Part 8. The energetic release, cutting the ties. Capricorn. You've seen the truth. You've faced the shadow. You've named the source. But there's one more step. You must release it. Because knowledge without action is just weight. The energetic cords, those invisible threads, they do not cut themselves. They wait. Sometimes for years. Sometimes lifetimes. Until you finally decide, this no longer belongs in my field. And today, that decision begins. Start here. Close your eyes. See the image of the one who betrayed you. Not in anger, but in clarity. You are not afraid of them anymore. Because you are not theirs to manipulate. Now, visualize the cord between you. See it for what it is. Not a connection, but a drain. Then, call in your inner flame. The one that never went out, even in the darkest hour. With that fire, cut the cord. Clean. Deliberate. Final. Feel your energy returning to you. A wave of calm, of silence, of lightness. This is your space reclaiming itself. But don't stop there. Burn something symbolic, a letter, a photo, a piece of the past. Take a salt bath, soak away what clings. Sweep your floors while repeating, "Only love may stay. All else must go." Place black tourmaline near your bed. Keep rosemary by your front door. Speak a simple prayer every morning. May I remain in my own energy. May nothing bind me but truth. This is not superstition. This is spiritual hygiene. And Capricorn, your spirit has carried enough. The space you clear now will become sacred ground. Not for others to enter, but for your next evolution to unfold. Because this isn't just about healing from someone. It's about reclaiming every part of yourself you gave away trying to help, fix, or love someone who was never meant to carry your light. This is the detox of your soul, the rebirth of your rhythm. Life lesson. True release doesn't happen in the mind. It happens in the body, the breath, the ritual. Letting go isn't about erasing the past. It's about ending its ability to control your present. And when you cut the cords, you don't just free yourself from them. You free your future from repeating them. In part 9, we'll rebuild the energetic shield. One rooted in discipline, intuition, and daily sovereignty. So no one ever crosses your spirit's boundary again. Part 9, rebuilding your inner shield. Capricorn. Now that you've cut the cords, you must build the shield. Not to live in fear, but to live in truth. To walk through the world without being penetrated by energy that isn't yours. Because if there's one thing you've learned through this betrayal, it's that not everyone who smiles at you deserves access to you. You don't just protect your home, you protect your aura. You protect your momentum. You protect your peace. Let's begin with your space. Your room. Your office. Your phone. Every space that carries your name must now reflect your truth. Declutter not just physical objects, but emotional residue. Delete the numbers that no longer need to exist. Remove gifts that feel heavy. Let go of objects tied to old connections. You know the ones. Clean the physical, and you clear the energetic. Next, return to discipline. Capricorn, your power has never been in grand declarations. It's in routine, in commitment, in your ability to do small things with sacred consistency. So start again. Wake with intention. Speak a boundary aloud every morning. Write one affirmation on your mirror. My energy is my own. I welcome only truth and reciprocity. Spend 5 minutes daily with your hand on your heart, asking, is this mine to carry? If the answer is no, release it. Now build your intuitive filter. Not everyone deserves your explanation. Not every message deserves your reply. Not every invitation deserves your presence. If it doesn't feel right, don't question yourself. Your body is an ancient tool. It has survived centuries of evolution. It knows. Practice saying no without guilt. Distance without drama. Presence without pressure. And most importantly, practice loving yourself enough to protect yourself early. Because protection isn't paranoia. It's wisdom. It's knowing that you no longer need to learn the same lesson twice. You don't owe anyone access. Especially not the ones who only show up when they need to plug into your power. Your energy is sacred. It is structured. It is earned. And from this day forward, it is protected. Life lesson. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges leading only to those willing to cross with respect. Your inner shield isn't there to keep love out. It's there to keep manipulation out. And the more you honor your own energy, the more the world will too. In part 10, we'll step into the most misunderstood aspect of healing. Forgiveness. Not as surrender, but as liberation. Part 10, forgiveness not for them, but for you. Capricorn. Forgiveness is a word that feels too soft. For the weight you've carried. It almost feels unfair. After everything they did. After the manipulation. The energy theft. The secret rituals meant to drain you. Now you're being asked to forgive. But listen closely. This isn't about them. It never was. Forgiveness is not a handshake. It is not reconciliation. It is not pretending nothing happened. Forgiveness is the moment you say, I will not let this pain write the next chapter of my life. It's a reclamation of space, of energy, of mental real estate. Because every time you replay what they did, every time you imagine what you should have said, every time you feel the weight of resentment, they still own a piece of you. Capricorn, that's too expensive. You've worked too hard to rebuild. You've gone too deep into your healing to let a ghost hold your joy hostage. So here's what real forgiveness looks like for someone like you. For someone who doesn't cry for sympathy, but carries storms in silence. You write the letter you'll never send. You let the anger rise raw, unfiltered. You speak the truth aloud in a room with no one else in it. You name the betrayal, the hurt, the disappointment. You give it language because silence is what kept it alive. Then, you release it. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. Burn the letter. Bury the page. Cry until the grief leaves your body like smoke. This is your ritual, not theirs. And when you do it, really do it, you'll feel it. Not joy, not yet, but lightness. Like something inside you finally unclenched. Like your soul sighed in relief. Because it knew you were finally choosing yourself over the wound. This is what forgiveness does. It doesn't excuse. It ends the story. And that ending, that final full stop, is the beginning of everything you've been waiting for. Life lesson. Forgiveness is not a gift for those who hurt you. It's the freedom you give yourself. When you decide your healing matters more than your history. Don't carry what you can burn. Don't relive what you can release. Let go so you can finally rise. In part 11, we'll explore what happens after the letting go. The rise of Capricorn. And the soul-level power that was never broken, only hidden. Part 11. The rise of Capricorn. You were never broken. Capricorn. This entire journey, the betrayal, the energetic war, the silence, the confusion, the darkness, the cutting, the forgiveness, was never meant to break you. It was meant to uncover you. Because the truth is, you were never broken. You were buried. Buried beneath expectation, beneath loyalty to the wrong people, beneath emotional debris that was never yours to carry. But now, the dust has settled. The air is clearer, and the shape that emerges is not a wounded version of you, but a refined one. You are not who you were when this began. You are sharper now, not colder, wiser. You are slower to trust, but quicker to act when your soul says no. Your silence is no longer passive. It's protective. Your boundaries are no longer hesitant. They're holy. You've rebuilt in the dark, piece by piece. And now you rise, not as someone hardened by pain, but as someone sculpted by purpose. Because Capricorn, your rise was never meant to be loud. It was meant to be undeniable. The people who tried to dismantle your foundation will see it standing taller than ever. Not because you wanted revenge, but because you refused to be small. And you don't need to announce your comeback. Your peace will speak for itself. Your glow will tell the story. Your next level will become the justice. Let the world wonder how you did it. How you stayed quiet but came back stronger. How you were written off but wrote your own ending. Let them ask. You don't need to answer. You are the answer. This is the rise of Capricorn. The return to original strength, but with new eyes, new rules, and new power. Life lesson. Sometimes the version of you that was cursed was never the version meant to succeed. You had to lose the one they could manipulate, to become the one they could never touch. You didn't just survive, you transformed. And now, no one holds the pen to your story but you. In the final part, we bring everything home. Not just with clarity, but with calling. Because now, Capricorn, your mission begins. Part 12. The prophecy is yours now. Capricorn. There is something sacred about completing a cycle, especially one that tried so hard to destroy you. But here you are. Not only did you survive what was meant to unravel you, you now understand it. You've seen the shadows, felt their weight, listened to the whispers, And more importantly, you've answered them with silence, with strength, and with truth. This is what they never expected. Not just that you would rise, but that you would rise transformed. Because you are no longer walking the path of reaction. You are walking the path of revelation. The betrayal wasn't random. The altar wasn't accidental. Your image was used in darkness. Because your soul is meant to lead in light. This was your initiation. Not into victimhood, but into vision. Because now, you no longer question your intuition. You honor it. You no longer shrink to fit the room. You let the room adjust to your presence. You no longer waste your fire explaining who you are. You simply live it. You are not just here to rebuild. You are here to redefine what it means to rise. Capricorn, the universe didn't allow the curse to touch your core. Because your mission is too important. Your soul has contracts that extend beyond this moment. Beyond this lifetime. Beyond this betrayal. The prophecy that was hidden. The destiny they tried to block. It's yours now. You hold it. You protect it. You live it. And let them watch. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Because your power doesn't need their approval. It only needs your permission. And now, finally, you've given it. Life lesson. There will always be those who try to bind you in silence, in fear, in control. But when you remember who you are, and more importantly, why you are, no altar, no spell, no betrayal can hold you. You are not the wounded. You are the awakened. And the world will never forget the rise of a Capricorn who remembered their power. If this message found you at the right moment, it wasn't by chance. You were guided here. Because it's time to move forward. With clarity, protection, and purpose. And if you're ready for more revelations like this, more stories, more healing, more truth, subscribe to Zodiac Secrets Revealed right now. This channel is your space, your home, your sanctuary. Because here, we don't just talk about the stars. We decode the contracts they carry. We awaken the power you've always had. And we walk beside you, until you no longer need to look back. Your time is now, Capricorn. You've reclaimed your power. Let the world feel it.